So in the month break that I've had away from making videos, I've actually secretly not been taking my mind off what kind of videos to make for May. I built my first PC, and I've been praying that I'll pass discrete mathematics. But most importantly, I've also been diving a bit into the world of one-shot mangas. Nice and compact stories that are good for a short read. And they're also easier for me to talk about without actually having to do a bunch of work and analyze 50 plus chapters of stuff to critique in a smart sounding way to seem like I'm also an elite on Mal. I'm just kidding. But one of these one-shots that have caught my eye is called Bad Tripper by Yu Odoriba, released in 2021. A story about Heiji, a death row convict who's been hired by the government to investigate an island where many disappearances have been reported. Oh, and spoiler warning, obviously. The story itself is admittedly predictable, but I don't necessarily consider it a negative, and it's still an enjoyable read throughout. The main protagonist, Heiji, is obviously the most interesting, not only because he's the main character and his backstory involving his parents teaching him how to kill people, but also because of how he's written. Heiji is, for the most part, a laid-back and apathetic character, which works well for his job. He's also snarky at times, which leans a bit into his relaxedness and a bit of overconfidence at times. But there are moments where that cool persona of him breaks. One way in which he experiences fear, although it's arguable that it's not because he was scared that he would die, more like because he wouldn't be able to succeed in his current state, and another in which he brings out a more moral but slightly psychopathic attitude towards the main antagonist when it comes to bringing justice. It's a refreshing contrast to the stoic badasses that are regularly present in other, more popular works with similar premises, says the guy who hasn't watched or read any other assassin series other than Assassination Classroom. Heiji is a well-rounded character, and there's even some details that show he isn't just a one-note psychopath or sociopath despite his gruesome past. Both of the people that he attacks aren't killed, they're just tied up and restrained. While you could argue that he was just told that he wasn't allowed to kill anyone, it's also a sign that he really does want to change and pursue his goal of living the rest of his life peacefully up in the world of light, where it's forbidden to kill other people. Heiji has a moral compass and a goal, and it would have been interesting to see where this went if the manga ever received a serialization. Another small setup and payoff, which is a plus to both Heiji's character and the writing in general, is this clueless girl who's also found at the island. While Heiji doesn't show any empathy towards the girl initially because he knows that the lodge they're staying at is for people wanting to die, he ends up saving her in the end since it's clear she obviously didn't know what she was getting into. Oh, and to prevent a killing too. It's not the deepest thing ever, but it's the basics that are executed well. I know I only talked about the main protagonist, but that's because that's where most of the bread and butter comes from this story. I mean, it's a one-shot, and there's not much else to get into. Okay, so here's what I don't specialize in because I know nothing about art and drawing, but the art style is pretty good in my opinion. It's rough, much like Gege Akutami or Tatsuki Fujimoto, and I never really found any issues with it while reading. There are lesser details at times, but it helps to emphasize what the panel is trying to focus on. There's also some dips in quality, but I personally didn't find them to be a turnoff. Yu Odoriba doesn't have much of a history as far as I'm aware. They're only credited to working on 3 one-shots, Bad Tripper being one, My Little Mars in 2020, and Densetsu no XX no Tsurugi also in 2020, which is a much shorter 8-page one-shot. It's kind of a shame, and I wish they had more works, or even just artwork, because I really liked Bad Tripper. I'm kind of surprised this didn't get a serialization, because this one-shot had a pretty good setup for a future complete story. The one-shot was featured in Shonen Jump 25, and even has an official 2-part audio dubbing, featuring Kengo Kawanishi as Heiji, Saho Shirasu as the female supervisor, Takuya Sato as the doctor, and a couple of other voice actors for the supporting cast. I reread the manga while following along with the voice acting, and it was honestly pretty enjoyable. It's basically the closest we'll get to an anime adaptation. I can't unhear Muichiro from Demon Slayer while listening to Heiji's voice though. This one-shot isn't even on the Manga Plus app, or any official manga service as far as I know, and consequently doesn't have an official English translation. And there doesn't seem to be any way of purchasing this or any of Odoriba's other works. So all I can say at this point is to go read it for yourself if you haven't, and if you like it, then spread the word about it. I think I'll do more of these short one-shot reviews because this was pretty fun to read and make, and it's a good way to lessen the burden but also ease back into content creation. So let me know if there's some other one-shots that y'all would like to see me go over. But that's about it. Take care, and maybe I'll see you next time. Also, if I sounded congested during this video, it's because I'm recovering from allergies.